back doing a short energy reading for Aquarius and their connection starting in the 8th house on this live stream. My goal is to head towards the 12th house to finish it, in the 12th house. So this is part 2, or I forgot what part it is, but we've already gone through an updated Aquarius's connection from the 1st house all the way to the 7th. So we're picking up in the 8th house right now. And so let's see. Scorpio and Aquarius, aka the 11th and 8th house. Dear Holy Spirit, please give me a reading for Aquarius and Scorpio connections, the 11th and 8th house. Okay, so I am referring to my notes because this video is very strikingly similar, and I believe it was going to be in Aquarius's house in today's general reading. So, yeah, see here. So, hopefully, hello, greetings, chat, hi. So, yes, in this here, #11th house. So this is Aquarius's house. This is today's general reading. And this is the 7 of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune, and the King of Swords. Clarifying the Knight of Pentacles, the Moon, and the Apprentice is in this placement. So I wanted to check that out. So here is the 7 of Pentacles. Here's the Wheel of Fortune. And this is where the moon area was. In the other reading, there was the Knight of Pentacles here. and there was the Seven of Pentacles here. So in this reading, we have the Seven of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles here. We had the Wheel of Fortune here and the Moon in this position in today's general reading. The Moon was here, the Wheel of Fortune was here, and then we had the Apprentice here and the King of Swords here. So we have the Two of Fire and the Wheel of Fortune here, the Ten of Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles here, Seven of Cups, and the Magician here is the difference. So let's see. In the general reading today in the 8th house, there was the Three of Swords clarified with the Ten of Swords. There was the Knight of Fire clarified with the Four of Pentacles. And there was the Apprentice, and there was the Hermit here. But anyways, looking here, I just wanted to take something familiar, and it was the 11th house reading that was familiar about this one. But anyhow, about what is being seen here. Seven of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles. So we're looking at Aquarius and or Scorpio. Whatever it is that they're thinking about in their connection, they're considering whether or not and how to go about nurturing it. Maybe cutting it off, cutting their losses potentially, what it would take to, prune it, what that might do, change the lighting, basically to assess their pentacle tree. And they have a lot of pentacles off the tree already, so there's a lot of resources available to do whatever is necessary to multiply, to improve the output, which is the general intention here in the Seven of Pentacles, is to improve the output for harvest. So Pentacles is what we're looking at here in the production of Pentacles. And in today's Aquarius reading, they were distributing or putting the Pentacles on this conveyor belt is what it looked like, where the Wheel of Fortune was, and the King of Swords was here, analyzing the output and basically determining how to delegate, what to do with the resources. So here we're looking at the Seven of Cups. So there's potential here. It almost looks like potentially unrealized potential. Potentially unrealized potential. So the Seven of Cups could, generally looking at it at a glance, it represents confusion or maybe emotional disorientation or illusion, delusions. But context is everything, because generally speaking, I like to see it as potential where, for an example, if there was no potential before and suddenly moving from a desert lack of potential into an oasis where you finally have multiple choices where there were none, this is an exciting opportunity, so there could be basically multiple choices here, options basically. So context is everything. With it being clarified with the Magician, it gives that things are coming into a proper alignment and perspective where abundance and manifestation and miracles can happen here. It's like a lot of potential to be abundant and to manifest. So let's see. So it looks like this Wheel of Fortune that's moving here, generally I like to describe it as a spin cycle, like in a wash, and it pretty much proves the test of time, you know, the foundation that one stands on, the principles that one leans upon, certain truths, you know, that they have established and hardwired thought patterns, for an example, are going through the test of time. And at the end of the spin cycle, what remains was supposed to remain. So at the end of this spin cycle, what remains was supposed to remain within this divine timing and alignment and this manifestation opportunity to be abundant. What was meant to remain was whatever does remain was meant to remain, and what wasn't, you could look at as the gray matter here, or just dissolved altogether, didn't even make it on the scene at all. That's what the spin cycle suggests. And so with it being clarified with the two of fire here, and the two represent getting balanced within oneself in order to be balanced with others, with another, or basically that's how I see it. And then so with the wheel of fortune being clarified with the two of fire here, it's also described as the current standing at a point on the horizon of their journey, looking at things with the biggest vantage point so they can see everything clearly, so they can make certain adjustments if necessary. They can start to reprioritize if necessary. They can hone in at a true perspective at what's, you know, they can see what's going on also, like see maybe hidden aspects, something that wasn't easy to see before. It's like removing oneself from the forest so they can see the trees, and there's something in sight there with the birds, with the bird here in eyes view and bird's eye view. It's like, so it's almost basically looking at the picture here that's on the table. We have either Aquarius, Scorpio, or both looking at this bird in the horizon and figuring what to do about it, as described here. There's the resources available where they can do whatever and everything that's necessary to do to be abundant with what they have in focus. See where it's best applied, for an example. You know, do they need to move this over here, for an example, or over there, for an example, or do they need to get it out of the picture altogether to make room for something else, etc., etc. The thing about it, with this being the two of fire here and everything described about the two of fire, there's also a likelihood, as described in today's Aquarius reading, the 11th house, to have that flipped in reverse. Something could flip into reverse here. If the Wheel of Fortune is flipping into reverse, for an example, it suggests like what was described, you know, a particle in the matter that doesn't make it, you know, it doesn't make it to the scene. It didn't have the resolve to survive for whatever reason, you know, for an example. So I've loosely been describing it as it being rescinded back. It having to repeat the karmic pattern, the karmic process. It having to relearn the lessons that it was intended to learn the first time. That's one way I like to loosely describe the readings, to give it you know, a framework, a vague framework, using hypotheticals, so that you, the observer, may be able to fit your situation into the energy here as described. But yeah, so we talked about that a lot on the 11th house reading today, in today's general. So let's see, you might want to visit that house for more details about how that moves. But let's see, the 8th house here too. 8th house connection, Scorpio. Well, in Scorpio's reading, for an example, in today's general, there was a fence that was made with the 3 of swords here in this placement in Scorpio. Then there was a knight of fire rushing into this area where there was an apprentice. There was a new start. So it was like getting out of a heartbreak situation and moving into a new chapter, a new beginning. So here might suggest an opportunity to reconcile. But so if this connection, for an example, is apart and there's distance in this connection, it looks like there could be consideration of a reconciliation, considering reconciling here, or they could be considering whether or not to hold on to the connection and nurture it or cut their losses here. That could be the potential of what's being described in the 8th and the 11th house. So then with that, it feels like as we're moving through the energetic fields into the second placement, depending on what they decide to nurture, to keep, to salvage, or to discard, that could be the decisions that might flip some of this embodiment into reverse. For an example, potentially, depending, as described. But, I mean, if it's all within the big divine plan, then even cutting losses, for an example, if that was meant to be the course, kind of meaning that it's better to move apart and to move it forward, then that would all be within divine timing as planned. The Wheel of Fortune could, then in that case remain in the upright position, and there could be a new beginning of many opportunities in the near future. Well, I hope I was able to provide a rough sketch of some framework of what may be seen here as far as the energy is moving in the 8th and 11th house. It feels like so many things can fit into this picture. Some things under consideration, depending on the direction on the decision made here, dictates how things move forward in the near future. But it looks like the stage is already set to process accordingly, depending on the decision made. So it looks like there's a lot of intentional energy here, especially with the major arcanas, which are the culmination, the collective embodiments of the universe based on decisions that one made within their free will. Dictate how this spin cycle is moving. If it's either moving clockwise or counterclockwise. If it's moving in progression towards a new beginning and ascending in one's karmic chapter, or if it's moving in a reverse manner where there could be a rescind to relearn lessons that was brought forth to learn the first time around. But as far as what lessons, it's interesting that what we have on the stage is the 7 of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles. So what lessons are there to learn? It almost seems like maybe deciding to keep or to discard. One might retrace their steps to salvage something that they discarded before. It almost seems like that may be what's the decision. Maybe to reroute, like here, maybe realize they're missing an important ingredient, to make all of this a reality, to make it all worthwhile. Maybe they reroute to salvage something else from the past, maybe something that they discarded. But it could be as simple as somebody, because in the 8th house, for an example, it looked like Scorpio, Endor Scorpio's person was leaving a situation pretty abruptly, only being able to take with them what they could. So it looks like in some cases somebody could just be coming back to get the rest of their things if they're relocating, if they're moving. If there was a breakup, for an example, maybe they were only able to take some things and they'll be back to get the rest. Yeah, but it's pretty open-ended as far as the translation here. So that's what I have for Aquarius in the 11th house for now. Alright, so here we're looking at Aquarius and Sagittarius connection. The 11th and 9th house. Let's see. So I've been looking here to see. Let's see. Sagittarius is reading today. The spread look like that. Let's get more context. Let's get into it and look at Aquarius and Sagittarius. Dear Holy Spirit, please give me a reading for Aquarius and Sagittarius, aka the 9th and 11th house. Thank you, God, for your goodness and your mercy. So in that first position, hey, beautiful. Thank you so much for you guys stopping by, and I appreciate you supporting the video and the content and the channel, interacting in the chat too. Thank you. Okay, so still working on this. The deck fell apart in the first position, so I wanted to pause and look at it closely. I was looking to clarify the positions. So far in the first position is the Two of Swords, second position is the Moon, third position is the Ten of Cups. So roughly speaking, on the energy that's on the table at the moment, it looks like there could be a disconnect between Aquarius and the ninth house currently, from past heartache, Three of Sword energy there. But there's a Two of Sword here, so there's some indecision what to actually do moving forward. That indecision seems to also be re-emphasized with this Moon energy, but we know that through the progression, we're ending up with the Ten of Cups, so that's a positive indication that a successful move will be rendered going forward. The Two of Swords is, for me, standing at a crossroad and intuitively deciding which direction to go. So you see there's a moon in both of these cards. There's a moon above the current holding the Two of Swords. There's the moon in this picture with the moon card, the 18th major arcana, with the current standing under it. So intuitively finding their path, their way to go out of this heartbreak situation moves them into a Ten of Cup dynamic. So it looks like there is a lot of positivity on the horizon, healing on the horizon as well. And that's what we're looking at. So the clarifier, as I was working to get a clarifier here, and the deck fell apart under the Two of Swords, is the Three of Swords. It's around the Three of Swords. So here confirming that there is a break, there's a heartbreak, a heartache situation. And so also looking at the cards here in their sequential order, the Two of Swords is also on the table, which is the card in the first position here. So the progression from the Two of Swords to the Knight of Pentacles, which is why I intentionally use a stacked deck so that I can see the sequential order, the elements on the table, and its value, etc. So yes, it's resonating, and we have a progression from the Two of Swords all the way to the Knight of Pentacles. So again, we're looking at that decision being made intuitively as described, and also verified with the sword. There's a sense of clarity that is had, and then you start looking at the dispatching of pentacles here with the Queen and King here, and also the decision. This rider has a mission, and they're carrying pentacles here over to the Ten of Cups. So we have emotional fulfillment, and also in the state of Pentacles, there's a likelihood. So if there was a separation between Aquarius and Sagittarius, it looks like there's a likelihood for a reconciliation and raising that connection to a higher vibration, a higher level of commitment too. It almost suggests the way that they're able to come together so seamlessly, almost as if they were in sync the entire time. It seems that their separation could be due to something that they mutually agreed upon, or at the very least they instantaneously have a consensus of understanding and compassion for why they were separated, and then they're moving together, and their connection seems to just really get off the ground very well. And so it looks like they are a power couple, that their potential for success is very high. And now I'm starting to remember, I think, if my memory doesn't fail me, but let me not, I was about to say, I just might as well start it here and talk about it versus trying to pull from a previous reading, but there might have been a running storyline here. But anyhow, in any case, what we're looking at is there's potentially a third party situation or heartbreak, but it wasn't one that they caused in this connection, but there could be a third party in another connection that the two of them, get together and heal each other and find themselves a mighty duo together, like, very abundant, and their chemistry is in alignment, etc., their attraction. is in alignment. They're headed in the same direction type energy, you know? And then, so yeah, their heartache could be from another connection that they were just in, or even life circumstances. They could be friends or lovers. They could be comrades. They could, just be associates, or, and I don't want to repeat myself because we already said it. And it looks like they're moving to a new beginning together, So that's what's being described. But all of that is clarified in the first position. I was still working on it, and these cards wanted to be seen. So let's see what else could be seen, if anything. So the Seven of Pentacles is clarifying this. We're still looking at Pentacles. Okay, the Wheel of Fortune is coming up to clarify this placement. We've seen that Wheel of Fortune make an appearance in the 11th house in the general reading just for Aquarius. Also, the Seven of Cups made an appearance in the 11th house as well, but the Seven of Cups is clarifying this area. Okay, the Ace of Swords, this is a card that's already on the table right here, speaking to the clarity. So we're looking at the Seven of Pentacles. That was the assessment, trying to decide what to do, what's the best way to do it type energy. And then we're looking at the Seven of Cups, for example, emotional disorientation after you seeing the Wheel of Fortune as well. And then you see the Ace of Swords here, so there's clarity, there's an understanding. And as we see here in this trajectory, then there's dynamic movement going forward. But in the dynamic, it's talking about the quality and the probability of moving the connection to a higher level, realizing the abundance that they have within each other, the resources that are available to be successful, and also their cups, the Ten of Cups they have here. But so the Ace of Swords. Okay, here's the Ten of Fire. So it looks like they have a lot to do, a lot to get off the ground. And this is Sagittarius and Saturn energy. So it looks like they have a lot to do, but also a lot of passion. It almost feels like a recipe for, this dynamic, inspirational ignition is what it feels like. Together, their rate of success in accomplishing a lot with a little, like their task force together, they're able to accomplish a lot, is what it looks like too. And then you got the Hangman clarifying here, Neptune energy, and then back at the Seven of Cups, so repeating what was already described. And when the Seven of Cups made its appearance, even in Aquarius's reading, and other places, it was looking at the, because even matter of fact, it looks like Sagittarius's general reading too, look like a lot of potential that they're successful here, and they manifest a lot, they reap a lot of abundance. Then they go back and potentially execute the plan again and get more abundance, potentially, like, they could run it through maybe 7 times, because there's 7 cups here for an example, or 10 cups here too. But it looks like unrealized, untapped potential ideas that they've already gone through and had the eureka moment about it. Now we're looking at the Ten of Swords, so they either have exhausted themselves because they've been burning the candle at both ends of the stick. This could also represent some romance that they've, like, for an example, they could have started out as friends, associates, and then things start to get romantic. Maybe that happens, but we already seen the Pentacles come out on the table, insinuating that their connection has a high likelihood of ascending to a higher level of commitment. But here looks like could be some adult activity, or there could be exhaustion and a breaking point of some other sort. Context is everything, but it looks like with that context, it's the progression of moving the connection to a higher level of commitment, with the Page of Pentacles taking the stage here. So like a proposal, a love offer, or just the embodiment of the beginning stages of them, starting to make money. Maybe they were exhausting and working and planning and putting the structure, but then maybe they move to a stage where they're starting to realize profit. That could be, but the Page of Pentacles there. And here's another Page of Fire here. So the Page of Pentacles points to the 6th house. Page of Fire points to the 9th house, Sagittarius energy. The 6th house is Virgo energy. So Virgo energy is talking about service and help and health and daily routines. Sagittarius's house, which is, in this connection here, talks about travel of the physical body and also of the psychological mind. So higher learning and traveling, etc., etc. Sometimes pages refer to ages like a youthful embodiment, and or children could be. But anyhow, and that closes out our clarifiers here. So this is just working us, trying to find a good clarifier for this first position. But while working on this, a lot of information has come out. And guys, look, there we have clarifying the Two of Swords with the Two of Swords. So there's a lot to take into consideration from what we've seen. A lot of potential. And I was reminded today because I was in the 12th house and I was no. Well, I might have been in the 12th house when I was marveling, but I could have just been in the 11th house, because there was the moon there, and clearly there was Seven of Swords energy there. Hey, thank you so much for your support on the video and on the channel and interacting in the chat with me. And I was marveling at the Seven of Swords because first it just was feeling like Seven of Swords, and then I realized, oh, yep, we're in Aquarius's house. Oh, yep, we're under the moon. The Seven of Swords is the moon in Aquarius, and even all of that we were just clarifying and translating all under these Two of Swords, and realizing that there was a lot of it that is under in the moon, and even here these Two of Swords are under the moon. That, wow, there's Seven of Swords, and a lot of the time when the Seven of Swords are at play, especially the moon in Aquarius, they're not gonna, people are not necessarily gonna know what's going on. So it was like on a need to know basis. This is between the two of them. This is what they're doing, but all under the Two of Swords. This is interesting. And look, there's two of Swords. So I'm picking up what do you call that? Twin flame soulmate energy and their connection. They're mirroring each other. They both have the Two of Swords. So it almost indicates like, and this seems like sometimes when there's a twin flame indication, sometimes that twin flame, there's still some dissonance, or there's still something that's out of alignment, maybe out of timing. But this Two of Swords already is feeling like they are resonating, like they could probably finish each other's sentences, so to speak. So imagine them moving in sync under the Two of Swords, only like almost like instinctually moving and almost like innovatively coming up with their technique, their strategy, their methods. At a second, within seconds, so to speak. Let's see. So I wanted to look here and let's see if I can. That was today's reading. And I wanted to see what was going on in the 9th house today. what the spread looked like. Huh. It was interesting to see the Nine of Pentacles, which looks like someone is quite comfortable, a tower, and which isn't the most comfortable embodiment, but then you have the King of Cups, so it almost looks like everybody is comfortable with this tower. So that's interesting. Let's see. Okay. I was looking for clarifiers. Did I ever get clarifiers there? And if so, what do those clarifiers look like? But anyhow, that is the ninth house general reading. Oh yeah, there are clarifiers. So let's see what they look like. Oh. The tower was clarified by itself, and the King of Cups over here looking like delightful or like intentional for some reason, clarified with the Page of Swords. So I would say, yeah, that looks intentional. And remember, so the Page of Swords was directly pointing us to Gemini, the third house, but also we're looking at an Aquarius here. So you see a little Aquarius over there. And we did see Pages earlier just now. It's like, oh, Pages has hit this stage. In this house, it was the Page of Fire, the Page of Pentacles. Here we're looking at a Page of Swords. And this is in Sagittarius's reading today. But cute, huh? Well, don't they look quite intentional and satisfied with this tower moment? What did they just pull off? But definitely look, the Seven of Pentacles there, assessing what they're going to do in all of their abundance. Their resources are available. But it's interesting, for all we know, they showed up there to repair the tower. Interesting, huh? So look at this dynamic, and you look at them assessing in the Pentacles, in the Suit of Pentacles. Here they're assessing in the Suit of Swords, blindfolded intuitively under the moon. Huh. And remember how the Seven of Swords is the moon in Aquarius, so we're looking at the moon energy. We can't really pick up much data until we started digging and getting the clarifiers, and there was so much to be said there, right? But basically, on the surface, can't really see much. That's potentially Seven of Swords, not really necessarily supposed to see what's going on a need-to-know basis. Is kind of saying, imagine all that happening, beneath the surface, behind the scenes. And technically, swords are not, the concrete, visible things. They represent thoughts. Interesting. But let's see what's going on. We'll continue working on developing the spread, because all of that was had in just the first position. And I'm reminded the ninth house, Sagittarius's house, again, governs higher thought, higher learning. Not just travel of the physical body, but travel of the psychological mind. Swords govern the mind, govern the thoughts. Let's see what else. Okay, and in its sequential order, after the Nine of Fire is the Ten of Fire. Well, we had seen the Ten of Fire somewhere in our reading. I think my memory's not so good on the playback, you guys, if you remember seeing it. Anyhow, so interesting that, so let's see, where's my little pointer? All right, guys, so as we were looking in the ninth house, we had seen a tower, clarified by a tower. So under the moon, we're looking at a Three of Swords. So an offense. Remember I said, well, did they cause the tower? But for all I know, they could have showed up to fix the tower. Why is there seemingly to be some sort of meeting at this tower? And also the Nine of Fire. Here looks like a fence. It looks like a guard of sorts, right? Guarding their Ten of Cups. So again, it seemed to imply that the two of these, Sagittarius and Aquarians, they appeared to have a high potential of coming out of something that was painful, but the pain wasn't necessarily caused by the two of them. It almost looks like they both met each other with the Three of Sword energy due to exterior conditions, something outside of their connection. It almost looks like they met up and paired up and linked up and found themselves headed in the same direction and vibrating on the same type of frequency, mirroring with twin flame energy to heal each other. And the walls that are up, the guard that is here, could potentially be blocking others out of their love. It's like we have a thing going on between the two of us that doesn't concern no one else but us. We know type energy. But it's really interesting. Dynamic here being explained. But remember how we didn't see anything until we started pulling clarifiers. All we saw was, it was like, almost like on the surface, I don't know what I'm looking at. Two of Swords. I don't know what I'm looking at. Both of you. None of you are got anything to say? Both of y'all holding the same type of poker face. But it looks good. I mean, we really can't say. Definitely don't know what to say. Interesting. So I get that feels like what the Nine of Fire there suggests. Now, because I remember off the top that the Ten of Fire is Saturn in Sagittarius, what is the Nine of Fire? Is that still one of the deacons of Sagittarius? The Nine of Fire is the moon. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's funny. The Nine of Fire is the moon in Sagittarius. I just think it's funny because we're looking at clearly the moon in Aquarius. Well, we've been seeing the moon in Aquarius, feeling the Seven of Swords. However, this here is the moon in Sagittarius. Interesting. Walls up, filter, ready to defend oneself or whatever is behind this wall. Whatever is behind this wall is very important. So they're guarded about the energy they let in, the energy that they let out, and protective about what's behind the wall. It's their love behind that wall, everything that's, important to them. Their love, everything that's important to them. So yes, the wall, that their Ten of Cups is behind that wall, behind the moon in Sagittarius energy. Well, that's how I'm seeing the energy moving in this connection with Aquarius and Sagittarius. Sagittarius, Aquarius connection. So now we'll move and look at Aquarius and Capricorn connections in just a moment. Oh, it's only until I came back to the reading table also that I seen those Three of Swords being under the moon could also imply that they have a third party situation going on, and that their third party, it almost implies that it's still going on. So they could be lovers and they could have a love interest outside of their connection. So that could still be going on. And then that too gives some context about the moon, the hidden aspects, the protection, the walls that are up, about their love and everything that was given about, them holding a poker face, so to speak, the same type of poker face. Maybe they both have their own connections outside of their connection. Dear Holy Spirit, please give me a reading for Aquarius and Capricorn, the 10th and 11th house. Hey, chat. Hey, you guys. Thank you for so much stopping by. I appreciate your support on the channel. Oh, you're a new subscriber? Wow. That is dope. And I appreciate it. So, the comments that you put here in the chat. Thank you so much, because it feel like it has a likelihood to add resonance in the general readings. And also, when we open the channel to do the free yes or no readings for subscribers, um, that opportunity will be presented. So like your question here, when you get into the yes or no sessions, you want to make sure to frame your question in a yes or no format. But yeah, putting your comment there in the chat, I feel like it helps establish some resonance. Even if you retract it later, that's fine too. So thank you so much for your support on the channel. And then I don't want to blindside anybody, because at times I'll need to put a subscriber mode up there. And when I do that, there's a high likelihood that it will be for at least 30 days or longer, to make sure that those I'm working for free, or those who are familiar with me, my quirky little personality, the content on the channel, etc., that they are supporters that are helping the channel grow. Okay. I just also want to thank the old school subscribers who have donated in the past and who have been subscribed for some years even, or just those of you who have subscribed and stay subscribed to help the channel grow. Thank you so much, new and old subscribers. You are so appreciated. I am looking for today's reading in the general, so I'm looking to see what the spread looked like in the 10th house. So like for an example, well, sometimes I like to feel things out actually. I really love to feel things out and shoot in the dark before I actually look, but I've forgotten I looked first. Let's see here. But interesting that the 9 of Swords did make an appearance there, and in today's Capricorn reading, and there had things had come to a breaking point in this reading, but it looked like the breaking point would have been kind of over here in the suit of, oh, my stuff is off the screen. I gotta pay attention. Come on, babies. Gotta get coordinated. And I like it if hopefully my little stick gets out of the way. That'll make it easier to see. So here, this is what it's designed to, like, if you guys are going to look back on some readings, or if you jump in, you'll be able to navigate here by looking in this placement and seeing the 10 and seeing Capricorn's card down here. This is from today's reading, but that's how you can kind of navigate on the stroll. Okay, well, anyhow, it looks like the breaking point right here in Capricorn's reading was there at the 9 of Swords and 3 of Swords, and it was mentally reflected, being that there's swords here. Two of Pentacles here, Page of Pentacles there, Eight of Fire here, Magician there. On the table, we have the 9 of Swords and the 4 of Swords. So where before there was the 3 of Swords, we're looking at a progression of healing to have in sequential order. The 3 was before, and the 3 precedes the 4. The 3 was actually today in Capricorn's reading, earlier today, and now we're having the 4 here. So in sequential order, it looks like there's progression in the healing. The 4 of Swords indicate praying, meditating, strategizing, becoming balanced within oneself, so they can also be balanced with others, or at least one other. So there's a progression here. It looks like there's some pain, some anguish But context is everything. It could be a sense of relief, tears of joy. But like earlier, I was talking about, it looked like a breaking point was in the first position, which represent the past energy. In a thought. And here's the action of it. Someone coming to their breaking point. But in a Capricorn's reading, it looked like there was energies that may have been leaning more toward reconciling and potentially trying to salvage what could have been lost. So here in that context, there could be a sense of relief, tears of joy to maybe see their lover come back to them. Or it could be mixed emotions, joy to see lover come back, but also frustration to be like, where did you go? And what did you do? And were you, with the Three of Swords, cheating on me? Do you have a third party? Were you with that other person? And if that's the dynamic, and is that why we're looking at the Four of Swords now too? Instead of the intense heartbreak and the Three of Swords, the progression of potential healing, because the lover is coming back toward them. So there's a sense of relief that your love is coming back, but then also, a sense of relief here. But maybe it's, I forgive, but I don't forget. Maybe is that why we're looking at a breaking point on one side and also salvaging on the other side potentially? So with that being stated, here's the Empress and also the Hierophant. The Hierophant could be a marriage, if not on paper, filed with the court systems, energetically speaking. Is this looking like the main woman, maybe the mother, if there's co-parenting happening? The Hierophant there in that context, for an example, if it's an energetic marriage, could refer to shared bills, shared responsibilities, co-parenting obligations, for an example. Some maybe unspoken terms, or maybe even spoken terms of their connection, like, okay, you can do this, don't do that. This is offensive. Okay, fine, we'll compromise on that. Maybe. And so where the Three of Swords would be, maybe be like, whoa, you violated our agreement. You're violating our agreement. There could be an unspoken agreement. What agreement? We don't have an agreement. Well, maybe we should make one, type energy. Maybe why the Hierophant is here indicating. This is the moon, and no, this is Saturn in Sagittarius energy. And the Knight of Fire could have Sagittarius's energy too. There's a strong Sagittarian presence here. But also Aries, first house. Leo, fifth house. For that matter, strong Taurus, second house. Libra, seventh house. And of course, we're in Aquarius, the 11th house. Strong. But whenever honing into a potential sign, I like to remind the audience all signs are present in a general reading such as this. Hello, chat. Greetings. So the way the energy is moving through this house, it looks like a reconciliation is on the horizon. Someone has come to their breaking point, however. And it looks like, someone is rushing in. It looks like potentially to salvage what could be lost. Interestingly enough, too, it looks like there's potential for, while someone is coming back to perhaps salvage what could be lost. But it looks like while they were away, energetically, maybe physically, somebody might be carrying away a contingency plan. Some of their essence looks like it could be removing, diminishing from this connection and going to the Hierophant. And the Hierophant, depending on context, could be like, what is these resources going to, like a judge or an arbitrator, mediator, or some other safe haven, potentially. Because you see kind of how somebody is running back here, potentially to salvage, but you notice how there's action and there's fire here. That's passion, that's action, that's realized movement, dynamic movement. But here's a thought. Here's, you kind of feel like a ghost embodiment passionately moving this way toward the Hierophant. So what's going on? Because it almost feels like here someone is at their breaking point. Somebody is tired. How much can you salvage when someone is at this place? It feels like they need to salvage themselves. It almost feels like the type of energy when somebody comes into their relationship of brokenness, trying to find their person. And although physically still there in the connection or in the house, they're not the same. They're long gone. Their psychological body is somewhere else. They themselves could be restructuring and regrouping their mental constitutions, you know, almost to say, man, I think I need to rearrange some of these hardwired thought patterns that I have, because all it's done is hurt me in this connection. And it points to where I said strong second house, Taurus energy, strong second house, Taurus energy. Right now, the wounded healer is in the second house in a orientation, a retrograded position where these type of external intense influences are moving the person of interest inward to take a personal inventory of oneself and raising their own vibrational value systems, raising their worth. The 10th house concepts. 10th house has been dealing with that. Speaking of Saturn and Sagittarius energy, the regent planet here in the 10th house is Saturn. The regent planet in Aquarius is Uranus. Uranus is revolutionary energy, sometimes known to go against the grain and rebelliousness, where the 10th house is talking about rules, regulations, expectations, boundaries, and then with those lines etched in the sand, overindulgences, law-breaking, boundary crossings are evident, toxicities, etc. Interesting. Well, this is a rough sketch, hopefully objective and light enough in its coloring to just provide the framework so that if it resonates, you can lay your own personal dynamic down, your own situation as it resonates, and whatever doesn't resonate, thank you for kindly disregarding it. I'll be back to do another reading as soon as possible. And then next we'll look at Aquarius with other Aquariuses. Dear Holy Spirit, please give me a reading for Aquarius with Aquarius, the 11th house. interesting. Well, let's see here. At the moment, at the moment, it is hard for me to see beyond an esoteric translation, something surreal, something dreamlike. It really speaks to the nature of Aquarius is that they are ones that are dreamers, and they make their dreams, they make their visions into reality. Because as good as gold, it's good as gold already. But what you have on the table is mostly thought patterns. Turning these thought patterns into actual, tangible profit. So literally looking at a dynamic of making dreams come true, and also flipping negatives into positives and pulling rabbits out of the hat, because the dynamic that they're in is quite stressful. Quite stressful. Man. It's like turning their pain literally into masterpieces. Man, it's like the embodiment of when somebody said, I poured my blood and sweat into this. Straight up. So I feel like we're kind of behind the scenes in a euphoric state, in a surreal, dreamlike vision, seeing Aquarius and their visions. Aquarian, you guys may be sleeping with a notepad right beside you, waking up in the middle of the night, writing down your dreams and your goals and journaling. But some of you just may have that good of a mentality that you remember. You're thinking about it. And that's what it looks like, and these thoughts are being realized. So again, with them, it looks like, I'm feeling magician energy here without seeing the magician. It's like they embody the major arcana of the magician. Strong mercurial energy here. And I also feel Neptune, but why? I always got to remember, because let's see, what is the first deacon of Aquarius? Oh, that's the Five of Swords in reverse, right at the moment. Choose your own battle. Choose your own battles. So it feels like, although they may have a cause to kick and maybe bash somebody's head in, they might feel like bashing. They might feel like just ripping heads off and making bodies roll just because of how frustrated they feel like they just might feel like punching a hole in the wall. But instead of doing that, they've harnessed their energies, harnessed their frustration to the best that they could, and start turning their nightmares into a masterpiece, into coins, and to realize the potential. I was like, hey, Aquarius, what do you have on that conveyor belt? Because in the general reading, in 11th house, there was just like, it looked like a conveyor belt. And there was a masterpiece put on the conveyor belt. And it looked like it was in production. And it looked like they had plenty more to go. It almost looked like they had endless supply of pinnacles to put on that conveyor belt. And I thought, man, it's interesting that y'all... Matter of fact, yeah, they had that 8 of pinnacle, right? It felt like over here, wherever it was, just banging out. I was like, wow. You're just banging out pentacles and putting it on the conveyor belt. Boom, boom, boom. It almost looked like so good, so real, that the King of Swords was here just assessing the value of those pentacles that was going out, it looked like. So there was a potential for the King of Swords, Aquarius's energy, but then it looked like, well, there's actually a team over here of all the swordsmen, you know, Aquarius governing the 11th house, which is what I like to call the world stage. And they have an abundance of networks and associations they could call on. Look like all the swords women and men were there. Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. And we're looking at Aquarius with Aquarius. But anyhow, the King of Swords was there. Just looked like quality assurance. Almost like, again, I remember some storylines that look like the Aquarian paid a toll, supposedly, for another, entity or authority figure or something to do something. But Aquarius rolled up their sleeves and said, I'll pay the toll so that my, expeditions are legit and certified and I have the appropriate credentials. But I myself know that I'm going to have to roll up my sleeves and get, well, I won't say get dirty. They could be, but, delegating tasks and whatever. But hey, yeah, seeing them themselves standing right up under there to give a seal of approval on this, on the, the proto. Well, it looked like it was more than a prototype. Let's say a prototype, the masterpiece. And they looked like they were checking it themselves, like hand picked almost, And if something came across their conveyor belt that was not of quality, maybe even a counterfeit, they were sending it back, flipping tables sometimes. That aggression that's pent up here, harnessed aggression is what it felt like. Flipping tables sometimes. What is this mess? Send it back. But I said, what is Aquarius? What are those pentacles, Aquarius? Well, here it looks like their dreams, their visions being realized are these pentacles. And it also looks like this, because the Three of Swords, or the Three of Fire here, is a magnetic embodiment. So everything they need coming toward them. So this looks like they're making profits regardless of its orientation. Like it could be flipped in reverse and they're still able to make a profit. It could be coming forth upright and they're still making it ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Interesting. Well, that's a rough sketch. Very, like I said, very much dreamy, euphoric, esoteric, surreal. That's what it looks like here. So let me see if I can zoom out of that and see something else. But let's refresh. Let me refresh. And look here to see. Be reminded. Be reminded of the recent planet orientations or the planet positions. So Aquarius has Pluto in the third, well, last I checked it was 3 degrees, but basically in the first decan. And also Aquarius, the North Node is an Aquarius, South Node in Leo. And then, I wanted to take a look at that. And it looks like heavy Mercury in Jupiter. Mercury is currently, in Leo. Okay, so then, the South Node and Aquarius, or the North Node in Aquarius, South Node in Leo, and Leo happens to have Mercury there in the first decan. Let's see, what is Leo in the first decan? Tarot jargon stuff. Leo in the first, ooh, guys, Saturn. Leo and Saturn is the, oh, 5 of fire. I'm just curious to see what it is. Interesting. 5 of fire. And let's see, looking at yeah, so Mercury. Currently in the first decan of Leo. And was feeling Jupiter energy. Oh, Jupiter is in the second decan of Leo too. Second decan of Leo is Jupiter. Jupiter in Leo. The 6 of fire. Okay. 6 of fire. So currently Uranus, which is Aquarius's regent planet, is in the first decan of Gemini. So I feel like there could be some resonance over here about the angst represented in swords, and how I was feeling like it's like they've harnessed their angst to the best of their ability. I kind of chuckled to myself when I kind of felt like they probably find a good place to flip over some tables right here. Just getting some well pent up energy out. This is a good time, because it seems like there could be maybe an overreaction at some times, where it's just like, whoa, whoa. You know, those around him might just be like, whoa, Aquarius, what was that? I mean, I know it was upsetting, but did you just go from 0 to 100? Yeah, send it back. Type. I don't know. But anyways, that they were harnessing all of this angst and able to pull a rabbit out of their hat, flip a negative into positives, turn lemons into lemonades, turn pennies into dollars type energy. Okay, so Gemini, Uranus, Aquarius's regent planet is in Gemini, that governs communication, information, logic, and technology, etc. The third house does also govern smaller groups like neighborhood organizations, or siblings, extended family, small groups, associations such as that, in businesses. Whereas Aquarius governs larger groups and organizations, and why I like to call it the world stage too. So there's likelihood of, like I said, it felt like all of the swordsmen and women were over there doing their quality assurance checks and just collaborating together. Here's Aquarius with other Aquariuses. But yeah, for those smaller groups, so like the world stage, collectively working with their networks with smaller groups as well. And what else? Aquarius. Okay. And I do have to look it up over and over again. North Node in Aquarius, South Node in Leo, it means your life's path asks you to move away from seeking personal validation and stepping towards serving the collective good. I feel like that was well represented here. with talking about, how is Aquarius kind of basically internalizing their angst and harnessing it and making masterpieces out of it instead of, just going off and banging a hole in the wall. Not to say they didn't do that too, but you know what I mean? Making heads roll and bodies fall type. Like what is preventing them from doing that on the capacity that it looks like they feel like they could and like they should and like they'd even be justified in doing it. At the moment, potentially, having the North Node in Aquarius, speaking on your life path, asks you to move away from seeking personal validation and step towards serving the collective good. Because if I didn't mention it, because I've been mentioning it, but it was worthy of saying it here too. That I felt like the work that they're doing, and is helping a collective of people, not just themselves, but it felt like a lot of people have been for a while residually benefiting from the work and just from Aquarius's presence, just them being around. It felt like that. So yeah, it looks like that's the energy at the moment here, and it looks like that. Let's see the core meaning of this South Node in Leo. It speaks on naturally knowing how to shine, lead, and command the spotlight. You feel comfortable seeking applause, validation, and personal recognition. However, leaning too hard on this creates ego traps, dramatized conflicts, and self-centered habits. The North Node in Aquarius talks about your growth lies in learning teamwork, community connection, and objectivity. You are meant to let go of needing to be the main character, quote unquote. Instead, you learn to contribute your unique gifts to group goals, social innovation, and a shared vision. The key life lessons here: soften the ego, it embraces the collective, it values authenticity over approval. So, as far as softening the ego, for example, it speaks on release the need for constant praise or feeling like everything revolves around you. And as far as embrace the collectives, it talks about shifting your focus from me to we by supporting community efforts and social networks. And as far as valuing authenticity over approval, it talks about stop performing for an audience and start honoring what makes you genuinely different. All right, so we have one more house to get into, and that is Pisces house, the 12th house. In just a moment, we'll look at Aquarius's connection with Pisces in just a moment. We have the 12th house. Now the Pisces might have an Aries cusp or maybe an Aquarius cusp. Dear Holy Spirit, please give me a reading for Pisces and Aquarius, the 11th and 12th house connection. This looks like a connection that's pretty. It's. I don't see that there is a disconnect, and it feels like wherever there might be a disconnect, it feels like there is compassion at the very least, like a high vibrational mature intelligence. And I say that because where I see there may be dissonance, maybe right here, maybe right here, and you see the counterparts, in fact, how they're even supported by major arcana, minor arcana, major arcana, minor arcana, major arcana. And this major arcana embodies healing, the deep intellectual component to whatever's going on. Healing in the high priestess, deep intellectual wisdom to complement whatever's going on, or to work in tandem with, or to at least relate in that type of compassionate way. And over here, that definitely sets the stage to show that there's love and there's harmony and there's understanding, relatability, and also it feels like a coexistence that mutually benefits one another and complements one another in a very dynamic way, looking at the 10 of Cups and the 8 of Pentacles. Like they have the potential to be abundant together, successful together, nurturing and healing one another, bringing about some high value, intrinsic support and love and passion. It definitely complements. It almost feels like they get within each other something that is rare to find anywhere else. Yeah, in all of these placements too. A sense of freedom and liberation within each other. Like within each other, they have room to be themselves. and their very vast differences. So it feels like this area is so expansive within each other. Like this feels like a safe haven that they have within one another on a deep level. So where there could be very harsh communications going back and forth, it's almost as if it's an echo chamber where they're safe to say whatever it is that they are saying. Like they could be each other's sounding boards with a very vast and variable spectrum of varieties, from the very deep pain to the very deep love. And again, this here is, I typically describe this as my standing on your square at a position of leverage. And at times, this posture of leverage is attack, 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 attack. And although attack, 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 from the posture of leverage that you're standing there because I put you there type energy. I put you in position to hurt me. But they're cloaked in this type of shield and protection from those attacks. In this hermit embodiment, in the mystical, surreal ness of it all. Attack, attack, attack. I put you in position and you use that position to hurt me. Defense, defense, defense. You're trying to get me, but you can't reach me up here because I'm standing on my square to position of leverage. But how dare you try to prod at me type energy. And over here, this is where there's undoubtedly a cohesive, beneficial, mutual arrangement. Where 10 of Cups and 8 of Pentacles. The only potential downside of that is hard work, hard work, hard work. But then it's like the type of work that you get pleasure doing and that the reward is very great. It almost feels like self-sustainable. So like a power couple that's self-sustainable because it's almost like that safe haven that you can go and you can ride out and you can retreat from the world in a certain sense. And while you're at it, be abundant together. Like when you come out of this cocoon, when you come out of this like hibernation cave or whatever it is, you come out wealthy. And it's almost like the unrealized wealth that it's almost like the 7 of Swords in Aquarius, the moon in Aquarius type energy of, hey, how did you pull the rabbit out of your hat? Where did you go? How did you pull that rabbit out of your hat? In the 12th house. You have access to the 12th house. Of course I do. I am the world stage type energy. Well, that's interesting. Pisces, where'd you get that rabbit out of your hat? Oh, the game is to be sold, not told. Pisces. Well, if one was curious and went through the connections, well, we find it in the 11th and the 12th house connection. That is a rough sketch of what I see here. Intentionally just vaguely coloring the framework, hopefully successfully, so you could lay your personal individual situation here and find your own context if and when it resonates. And if it doesn't, thank you for kindly disregarding it. This is the way I see the energy moving in the 12th and 11th house connection. If you were going to just refresh and say, okay, but what do you see about our relationship between Aquarius and Pisces? it looks like there is a connection here. I do not see any point of disconnecting this relationship. I do read the short-term energies as energy can change all the time. A simple thought is enough to change the trajectory in the way energy is moving. But I don't see it on the stage at all. It looks like this is a connection that has history and it's been going strong for a while. And it looks like it has the potential to continue going strong for a good while as well. It almost looks like there's a cipher that's likely to happen like right here, where it's very advantageous. Advantageous. Yeah, so that's what I see there. So thank you so much. Hey there. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate your interaction with me in the chat. Thank you for your support on the channel and on the video. So yay, we've made it through the 12 houses and the connections for Aquarius. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the reading table and prepare us for our next stream and our next reading. And then I'll be able to sign off for now. Until next time. It was interesting too that this hermit, speaking of the healing, it appears like their lanterns are pointed towards towards this Ten of Cups, almost like they too are able to take the pain and output the Ten of Cups there. Again, about that mutual beneficial coexistence that they have. And then it's like it brings about kind of a similar dynamic scene in the 11th house. So it's like, where are you getting the inspiration for all those pentacles that you're banging out? Here. And it's similar to Aquarius's general reading that we just got out of even. Oh, actually with Aquarius and Aquarius, that they were taking intense pain, it looked like, and suffering, and transmutating it to Pentacles. So it's interesting that the discerned pain that they could be taking was described here and transmuting it, and it looks like outputting Ten of Cups and then banging out Pentacles. So that's interesting. There we go, guys. Signing off for now. Hello, what's up, chat? Thank you so much, everyone. We'll be back as soon as possible. Peace.